Transformed into the gold-digging ex-girlfriend of the male protagonist in a face-slapping narrative, my mission is to mercilessly humiliate the impoverished male lead and ultimately cast him aside. I diligently fulfill my role, oblivious to the fact that the male protagonist has already awakened his mind-reading abilities. Despite my outward demeanor, what can you earn from those pathetic part-time jobs? Can you even support me? Useless. Internally, I am consumed with thoughts of abs.
Ups?
An 8-pack of abs. I must touch them. I must. The male lead's ears turn crimson as he rips off his shirt with one hand, declaring, "Once you touch me, you can't touch anyone else." Upon Fu Hansheng's return, I was nestled on the sofa, engrossed in a horror film. Just as the ghost was about to make her entrance, the sound of the door creaking open startled me, causing me to leap from the sofa, nearly sending my phone flying. Fu Hansheng stood at the door, his left hand holding a cake and his right cradling a bouquet of flowers. My eyes sparkled with delight, and I instinctively moved to greet him, but then my mind pivoted. No, I must embody the persona of a gold-digging woman. Thus, I settled back onto the sofa with a frosty expression, furrowing my brow in feigned anger, and exclaimed, "Why are you back so late? I'm nearly starving." 02. I found myself transformed into the gold-digging ex-girlfriend of the male protagonist in a narrative designed for vindication. By sheer chance, I uncovered the fact that the male lead, Fu Hansheng, is the illegitimate son of the wealthiest family in a city, the Wei family. Thus, I devoted considerable effort to ensnaring his affections, initially believing that I could secure a substantial fortune through him, paving the way for a life of indulgence and luxury. To my dismay, Fu Hansheng harbored no intentions of associating with the Wei family, displaying an utter disinterest in their wealth. Witnessing my aspirations crumble, I gradually revealed my true, mercenary nature, subjecting the impoverished male lead to various verbal humiliations, ultimately casting him aside. At that juncture, Fu Hansheng was grappling with a critical entrepreneurial setback, compounded by my disparagement, plunging him into an extended period of despair. It was then that the female lead made her appearance, offering solace and encouragement to Fu Hansheng, who ultimately triumphed in his business endeavors, emerging as a legend in the commercial realm, while the two of them walked hand in hand into old age, basking in their lifelong affection. Meanwhile, I, the avaricious supporting character, could only meet a wretched end, consumed by jealousy and regret. 03. Fu Hansheng placed a cake on the coffee table, kneeling before me with a bouquet in hand, patiently coaxing. I was delayed while purchasing the flowers.
Please don't be upset.
As he placed the flowers in my embrace, he added, "Happy 100 days anniversary." He leaned in closely, his sturdy arm resting against my thigh, the faint scent of mint wafting from his breath. He gazed at me, his brow and eyes sharp. Yet his gaze held an overwhelming tenderness. Heavens! He is so handsome, I could bleed from my nose. I internally screamed, "My goodness! My goodness! My goodness!" Yet my face bore an expression of impatience. "Oh, so you remember that today marks 100 days since we started dating?" Other couples celebrate with fine dining at upscale restaurants, savoring steak and sipping red wine, while you pinch pennies to buy a mere cake. Hehe. Strawberry cake, my absolute favorite. After my tirade, I turned to observe Fu Hansheng's reaction, only to find him smiling, the corners of his lips curving upward, completely unfazed by my insults. What was this? Was my scorn ineffective, or had he simply grown thick-skinned? I scoffed and continued, "You spend all your time on those pathetic part-time jobs. How much can you even earn? Can you afford to support me? Useless. I should have known better than to get involved with you." Fu Hansheng, seemingly undeterred, leaned in closer, his gaze drifting to my lips as he softly inquired, "Would you like to kiss?"
Ah,
"This is against the rules."
man.
"You're playing with fire." I swallowed hard, my words faltering. "Kiss you? You must be joking. You smell terrible. Go take a shower and spare me the sight."
Wah.
Is this dreadful plot truly unavoidable? Fu Hansheng suddenly burst into laughter, leaving me perplexed. Was he a masochist, deriving pleasure from such insults?
All right.
"I'll go shower," he said, raising his hand to stroke my face. "Remember to eat the cake." I scoffed, turning my head away. It looks unappetizing." 04. When Fu Hansheng emerged from the shower, I was sprawled on the sofa, my round belly on display. He glanced at the half-eaten cake before turning to me. I immediately donned a disdainful expression. Cheap goods are indeed cheap. The strawberries are sour, and the cream lacks sweetness. If I weren't starving, who would dare eat such rubbish? It's delicious. I wonder where Fu Hansheng bought it. I need to ask next time. Fu Hansheng halted in his tracks while drying his hair. Is that so?
Let me try.
With that, he leaned in, his damp fingertips gently grasping my chin. And then his warm lips descended upon mine. My mind went blank. Fu Hansheng's tongue brushed against my lips before he pulled away, his eyes sparkling with amusement as he fixed his gaze upon me. Quite sweet indeed. Stay composed. I am but a supporting character. I am the villainous supporting character. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Okay, fine, I concede. Could I perhaps have another kiss?
Smoch, 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 smoch.
The mirth in Fu Hansheng's eyes deepened. Maintaining my facade, I retorted, oh really?
Well,
I suppose that as all you're worthy of eating these cheap goods. After all, I had to preserve my character. 05. Fu Hansheng is currently in his 4th year, nearing graduation, while I am 2 years his junior. He formed a team with friends to facilitate entrepreneurship and part-time work, renting this modest apartment off campus. 2 months into our relationship, I moved in with him. The apartment is small, featuring only 1 bedroom. He had previously occupied it alone and has since taken to sleeping on the sofa in the living room. Late at night, I lay on the spacious bed, unable to sleep due to the excitement from a fleeting kiss, giggling to myself as I rolled about in the sheets. Suddenly, there was a knock at the bedroom door, and Fu Hansheng appeared, clutching a pillow, an expression of innocent bewilderment on his face. I accidentally dampened the sofa while getting a drink. May I sleep with you tonight? He wore a pure white t-shirt, and his toned abs were subtly visible beneath the slightly translucent fabric.
Ups.
8-pack abs. I want to touch them. Let me touch them. I discreetly wiped my mouth and coldly replied, on what grounds? I asked assertively, as if this were my own home. Fu Hansheng appeared unperturbed. He pondered for a moment before suddenly removing his shirt. I was nearly blinded by this display of masculine allure. In that moment of distraction, Fu Hansheng seized my hand and pressed it against his abs. Is it because I have an 8-pack? My pupils dilated, and I found myself uncontrollably squeezing a few times. Damn, this is worth it for a lifetime. Fu Hansheng raised an eyebrow, inching closer. Is it nice to touch? I replied, my voice trembling slightly. It's all right, I suppose. Your face and physique are the only things worth mentioning. Hee, so nice, so firm, so delightful to touch. Even a nun would be tempted after seeing this. I paused, hastily adding, but your biceps could use a little more work. Fu Hansheng's ears flushed crimson. He tightly grasped my hand, his voice a bit hoarse. Now that you've touched me, you can't touch anyone else. So innocent. What a tease. 06. Ultimately, I consented to let Fu Hansheng sleep in the bedroom. After all, this was originally his apartment, and given our current relationship as a couple, sharing a bed should be entirely normal, right? Of course, I had no ulterior motives.
Hee.
Fu Hansheng sat at the edge of the bed, placing a small rabbit plush toy in the middle, then looked up at me with a half smile. Don't worry, I won't cross any boundaries. TSK. That sounds a bit formal, doesn't it? I lamented internally while maintaining a effet of disdain. It's good that you're sensible. I turned my back to him, lying on the inner side, the space between us wide enough to accommodate another female lead. This bed was indeed oversized. How can I subtly roll into his embrace? As I pondered anxiously, Fu Hansheng suddenly stirred. I distinctly felt him inching closer, his broad shoulders casting a shadow on my cheek. His warm breath brushed against my nape, and I tensed, daring not to exhale. It was suffocating to think about. Why am I being such a coward? Fortunately, he made no further moves. I cautiously turned to see Fu Hansheng with his eyes closed, seemingly already asleep. His earlier proximity merely unconscious. I released a sigh of relief and boldly faced him. Truly, as expected of the male lead, he even looked handsome while asleep. As I gazed, I gradually became entranced. Unable to resist, I reached out and touched his face. My fingertips glided downward, tracing his brow, his eyes, his nose, and then his lips. Wake up. You are merely a supporting character. I jolted, hastily retracting my hand, only to feel a sudden grip around it. Fu Hansheng had opened his eyes at some point, seizing my wandering hand, the depths of his gaze dark and inscrutable. Darling, if you continue to touch, it could become rather perilous. I was taken aback.
He
actually
called me
darling. What a clever lad. Is this your tactic? My entire being flushed with warmth, my cheeks likely redder than a monkey's backside. Fu Hansheng's grip tightened around my hand. I struggled, but could not break free. I hastily concocted a flimsy excuse. You snore while sleeping. It's unbearable. Fu Hanqing raised an eyebrow, releasing my hand. Is that so? Why would I lie to you? Finally feeling a hint of the malicious supporting character, I pressed on. I kindly let you into sleep, and yet you snore. Such a lack of decorum. You think I was touching you? Don't get ahead of yourself. I merely wish to slap you across the face. Apologies, my darling. You'll have to bear this blame for now. Forget it. This room is yours. I feigned annoyance, abruptly tossing the blanket aside. I shall sleep outside. I can no longer remain here. If I do, disaster will surely follow. Just as I sat up, a force suddenly tugged at my wrist. Fu Hanqing raised his hand and pulled me back. Before I realized it, I found myself lying in his embrace, his arm encircling my waist, rendering me utterly unable to move. Fu Hanqing's face was mere inches from mine, our breaths intertwining, and I could even hear the steady beat of his heart. But I wasn't asleep at all. Indeed, I knew it. Then that must be the noise from next door. I rolled my eyes. It's your fault for being incapable. Renting such a cheap, dilapidated place with poor soundproofing. As I spoke, I slapped his hand. Release me. You promised you wouldn't overstep. There is no overstepping. Fu Hanqing's voice was low. I merely compressed the boundaries to their utmost limit. I looked down, noticing that the rabbit plushie, which had been placed between us, was now severely deformed. Calm down. Calm down. He is the male lead. Not my male lead. Silence enveloped us. Fu Hanqing regarded me for a moment in silence. I anticipated some action from him, but he merely sighed softly and buried his head in the crook of my neck. A sharp pain pierced my collarbone as he bit me. I gasped, "Are you part dog?" Why on earth would he bite me out of the blue? Fu Hanqing gently blew on the spot he had just bitten, his voice muffled and tinged with reluctant concession. I belong to you. Is he mocking me? 08. Something was amiss. Very amiss. The original narrative provided scant insight into the relationship between Fu Hanqing and me, focusing instead on my maliciousness, my materialism, and the various humiliations I inflicted upon the male lead. Fu Hanqing's demeanor towards me had always been silent and indifferent. Nothing like this. Clinginess. What is this? A hidden benefit? It seems I could entertain that notion. My thoughts were a chaotic whirl, and as fatigue overwhelmed me, I succumbed to slumber in Fu Hanqing's embrace. When I next opened my eyes, it was already early the next morning. I groggily climbed out of bed, feeling somewhat unhinged. I've already become the malicious supporting character. Why must I still attend an 8 a.m. class? Oh heavens, I shall no longer call you my lord. Fu Hanqing had left without my notice, leaving behind a note with his handwriting. Breakfast is in the microwave. Eat before heading to class. Don't go hungry. I smiled softly. What a thoughtful male mother. I quickly freshened up and devoured the breakfast before the dread of attendance compelled me to reach the classroom, just before the bell rang. The professor droned on at the front, while I struggled to stay awake in my seat. Just as class was about to end, a torrential downpour suddenly ensued. My phone chimed repeatedly. Notifications from someone labeled Wei Ming appeared. How is the matter progressing? I expect to see all the project materials within 3 days. Don't forget what you promised me. If you delay any further, you can forget about getting a penny. Wei Ming, the half-brother of Fu Hanqing, was the male antagonist in the novel, perpetually at odds with Fu Hanqing. Wei Ming harbored deep resentment towards Fu Hanqing. He had approached me recently, requesting I steal the project materials from Fu Hanqing, promising me 5 million upon completion. According to the plot, I had agreed and successfully executed the task. Wei Ming utilized the stolen materials to launch a new project before Fu Hanqing, delivering a significant blow to his entrepreneurial journey. Though Wei Ming's scheme ultimately failed, it irrevocably severed my relationship with Fu Hanqing. I furrowed my brow, gazing out at the relentless rain, sighing deeply. As the malicious supporting character, I was finally set to embark on the storyline. 09. The class bell rang, and as I stepped out, I had just sent Wei Ming a simple okay, when a sudden shriek pierced the air. Jiangji, who are you messaging? I rolled my eyes, fully aware of who was speaking without turning around. Zhou Xinran, one of the minor female antagonists in the original story, was Fu Hanqing's neighbor and classmate, having harbored a crush on him for many years. I rubbed my ears. Could you lower your voice? It's quite loud. Ignoring my comment, Zhou Xinran lunged to snatch my phone, but I deftly dodged her. With her hands on her hips and an expression of fury, she demanded, I ask you, who were you just messaging? I was at a loss for words. Do you live by the sea? Why are you so nosy? It was Wei Ming, wasn't he it? Don't think I didn't see. Zhou Xinran glared at me. What did he say about the project materials? Is it related to Hansheng? Why do you care? I turned to leave, but she blocked my path. You know Wei Ming has ulterior motives. Why are you still in contact with him? Are you planning to betray Hansheng after accepting his benefits? I shot her a surprised glance. To be fair, Zhou Xinran had a sharp mind, managing to guess the truth. Or are you juggling both Hansheng and Wei Ming at the same time? Zhou Xinran sneered. Jiangji, do you think you can fool everyone by pretending to be an innocent little flower? Hansheng might be deceived, but I certainly won TB.
Oh.
Zhou Xinran stomped her foot in frustration. Don't get smug. Hansheng will eventually see through your true nature and dump you. I nodded. Indeed. Zhou Xinran began to tug at her hair. Jiangji. I was startled and quickly restrained her, attempting to save her somewhat thinning hair. She was truly ruthless with her own. I'm not being sarcastic. I genuinely think you have a point. However, I paused. Even if he were to break up with me, it wouldn't concern you. You are not the female lead. Why should two supporting characters quarrel? Zhou Xinran seemed even more agitated, her hands trembling. You all right. I conceded, I'll keep quiet. Is that satisfactory? Suddenly, Zhou Xinran's expression shifted. Her anger replaced with delight as she gazed at something in the distance, exclaiming with a smile. Fu classmate. Wasn't she just calling him Hansheng a moment ago? Now it's Fu classmate? Truly remarkable for someone harboring a secret crush. 10. Fu Hansheng approached, holding an umbrella as he emerged from the torrential rain. Zhou Xinran approached with a cheerful smile, inquiring, Fu classmate, do you have lessons here today? Fu Hansheng shook his head, his gaze settling on me as he stated. I came to pick up my girlfriend. In an instant, Zhou Xinran's jovial demeanor vanished. Fu classmate, although it may seem inappropriate for me to say this, I feel compelled to remind you that Jiangji is not as simple as you might think. She has been in contact with the Wei family, so even if you are in a romantic relationship, I hope you can remain a tad cautious. Must you really speak of such matters in front of me? At least be discreet, dear. Fu Hansheng lifted his gaze towards me, his expression unchanged. My heart tightened, and feigning calmness, I crossed my arms. What are you staring at? Do you believe everything she says? Who is your girlfriend, her or me? Indeed, when one feels guilty, they often resort to anger as a facade. I'm sorry, darling. I didn't mean to snap at you. Fu Hansheng suddenly chuckled and addressed Zhou Xinran. Thank you. But you are overthinking. Zhou Xinran appeared astonished, and just as she opened her mouth to speak, Fu Hansheng had already bypassed her to approach me. I felt a twitch at the corner of my mouth. Is this how it ends? I haven't even begun to defend myself. Are you hungry? Fu Hansheng paused before me, speaking gently. Shall we go eat? Oh, all right. Could you at least show some skepticism? Otherwise, I will feel quite guilty. Lost in thought, I barely noticed when Fu Hansheng reached out to pull me closer. Seeing my lack of movement, he turned and asked with concern, What's wrong? I hesitated. Fu Hansheng. Suddenly, I snapped back to reality. Jiangji, how could you be so soft-hearted? For heaven's sake, know your place as the wicked supporting character. In the next moment, I straightened my posture. How can we walk in such heavy rain? These shoes are Gucci. They're quite expensive. What if they get wet? I pointed to the empty space before us. You should carry me. Jiangji, don't go too far. Zhou Xinran exclaimed angrily. Fu classmate, how can you still be with her after she treats you like this? Fu Hansheng remained silent, obediently squatting before me, patting his shoulder to indicate I should climb on. Why is he so compliant? I was somewhat taken aback, yet feigned nonchalance as I clambered onto his back. Zhou Xinran, frustrated at his acquiescence, shouted, Fu classmate. No need for your concern, Fu Hansheng replied with ease. She is my girlfriend, and she can treat me however she wishes.
Well,
it seems he is quite the love-struck fool. Oh, female lead, your fortune lies ahead. The rain gradually lightened. I lay on Fu Hansheng's back, one hand holding the umbrella while the other discreetly pinched his firm arm muscles. So resilient. No wonder he is the male lead, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. He exudes an overwhelming sense of security. Head, just one more touch. Wiping my mouth, I nearly drooled. That was close. What are you thinking? Fu Hansheng suddenly asked, his tone betraying a hint of uncontainable joy. I was startled, and just as I intended to deny any thoughts, I found myself saying, I was thinking about how useless you are. You can't even afford a car, And on a rainy day, your girlfriend has to hold the umbrella herself. Just listen to how harsh that sounds. Even I wish to slap myself. Yet, Fu Hanqing seemed unfazed. Just wait a bit. His voice was soft. I'll be useful soon. Humph. I leaned dejectedly against his shoulder. My youthful prime is not meant for waiting on you. I would wait, but the plot does not allow it. I'm sorry. Fu Hanqing. Perhaps due to overwhelming psychological pressure or the chill of the wind, I developed a high fever upon returning home. Fu Hanqing attended to me throughout the night, and even after my fever subsided, he remained unconcerned, moving his work back home to stay by my side for 2 whole days. During this time, Wei Ming sent me multiple messages urging for updates. Finally, on the 3rd night, while Fu Hanqing was asleep, I took the opportunity to sneak out of bed and turned on his work computer in the living room. After entering several sequences of numbers, the screen still displayed a password error. Pondering for a moment, I hesitantly entered a new set of digits. The password was accepted, and the computer booted up. I was taken aback to discover that it was indeed my birthday. An inexplicable wave of trepidation washed over me. If I proceeded further, Fu Hanqing and I would truly have no future. He would despise me to the core. Yet, if I refrained, the plot would deviate, leading to what potential consequences? Would the world collapse as a result? I attempted to call upon the system, but still received no response. Since my arrival in this world, the system had been a constant presence in my mind, guiding me to advance the plot according to character settings. Initially, the system could engage with me in conversation. But approximately a month ago, its responses dwindled, and now it had gone completely silent. Was it possible that it had encountered a bug?
12.
In the midst of my thoughts, Fu Hanqing's computer WeChat suddenly flickered. Compelled by an unknown force, I opened it to find a message from a girl named Shen Chuchu. Ah Sheng, when will you come to the studio? We've all missed you these past few days. The program has made new breakthroughs, and everyone is eager for you to return to celebrate. Shen Chuchu. So, she is the female lead Shen Chuchu. Her profile picture was a photo of herself. Upon enlarging it, I saw her round face and large eyes, a truly adorable and comforting appearance. She seemed well-matched with Fu Hanqing. My heart felt as if gripped tightly by a large hand, making it difficult to breathe. Lowering my head, I resignedly took out the USB drive from my pocket. Upon returning to the bedroom, Fu Hanqing was still asleep. I gently lay back beside him, and as if sensing my presence, he suddenly wrapped an arm around me, pulling me firmly into his embrace. His eyes remained closed and his voice, tinged with sleepiness, inquired, "Can't sleep?" The faint scent of mint lingered at the tip of his nose, providing a sense of comfort. Inovet, His broad and warm hand rested on my shoulder, beginning to gently pat my back, as if soothing a child. An inexplicable mist gathered in my eyes. Fu Hanqing. I remained silent, calling out his name once more. Fu Hanqing. I'm here. I slowly closed my eyes. I'm sorry. You must hate me. The surroundings fell into silence, with only our gentle breaths filling the air. After a while, the arm encircling my waist tightened, and Fu Hanqing pulled me even closer. Jiangji, he whispered, I love you. 13. On Saturday, I arranged to meet Wei Ming at an upscale restaurant. According to the plot, Fu Hanqing would also be here today to discuss a collaboration with investors. He would stumble upon my conspiracy with Wei Ming, providing me the opportunity to lay everything bare and then decisively sever ties with Fu Hanqing. Wei Ming sat across from me, his legs crossed. A sense of smugness etched across his somewhat greasy face. I've gone through the materials you provided. They're quite impressive. I'll transfer the money to you on schedule. I nodded absently, glancing around. How could Fu not suspect that the person closest to him would betray him for a mere 5 million? Who says otherwise? He deserves it. A lowly, illegitimate child. How dare he compete with me?
Ha, fool.
Wei Ming scrutinized me with a leering gaze. You're quite clever and not unattractive. How about considering being with me? I can add another 1 million to the deal. Just try it. I'll gouge your eyes out. Do you truly value me at merely 1 million? I feigned dissatisfaction with his offer. My voice strained. This might just ruin my mood. Ugh. Hold it together. This is what a gold-digging antagonist deserves. Wei Ming shrugged. What can I say? You chose to associate with Fu Hanqing. This price is already quite generous given your circumstances. Damn it, I want to tear his mouth apart.
Oh.
Wei Ming suddenly glanced over my shoulder, a mocking smile spreading across his face. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. What a coincidence, Fu Hanqing, to encounter you here today. When did you start dining in such upscale establishments? I froze, acutely aware of a gaze fixated upon me.
She.
I turned stiffly. Not far away. Fu Hansheng extended his hand toward me. Come here, we're going home. Behind him, Shun Chu, clad in a white dress, scrutinized me with curiosity. My heart felt as though it had been violently torn open, a suffocating pain making my fingertips tremble uncontrollably. I refused to return to that rundown flat. My hands clenched tightly, my nails nearly digging into my flesh. Fu Hansheng, can't you see? I have new options now. He appeared unfazed, stepping closer with stubborn insistence. Come here. Wei Ming laughed heartily, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. I instinctively wanted to push him away, but restrained myself. Fu Hansheng, aren't you supposed to be quite capable? How is it that you can't even keep your girlfriend? Then again, it makes sense, with neither wealth nor power. You're utterly destitute. What woman would choose to be with you? How about this? Wei Ming adopted an air of superiority, kneel and bow to me 3 times. Confessing that you are a lowly illegitimate child, and I might consider gifting you a few million. How does that sound? I felt a hardness settle in my fists. Does this idiot not know when to stop? You're nowhere near Fu Hansheng's worth, yet you still have the audacity to prattle on. Just wait until Fu Hansheng has absorbed the Wei family's assets. Then you'll be humbled. The nerve to lay hands on me. Truly, a toad on a foot, repulsive. Fu Hansheng's eyes turned icy as he swiftly approached, seizing Wei Ming's lewd hand that rested on my shoulder and twisting it painfully. The next moment, a shriek echoed through the restaurant, drawing everyone's attention. Wei Ming contorted in agony. Fu Hansheng, what are you doing? Wei Bangin abandoned his wife and children to ingratiate himself with the powerful. Fu Hansheng glanced at him coldly, applying more pressure. Do you have any idea who the mistress and the illegitimate child are? Exactly. Do you even have an ounce of self-awareness? With that, he hurled Wei Ming to the ground and turned to lead me outside. Shin Chuchu's face flashed with alarm. Asheng, brother. Fu Hansheng seemed not to hear, pulling me along with urgency. He must be very angry, I thought. But how can anyone look so good even when angry? Fu Hansheng, I attempted to struggle free. Let go of me. He ignored my protests. My wrist hurts. Finally, he paused, allowing me to retract my wrist from his grip. Let us leave it at this. He seemed to anticipate my next words, his expression hardening in refusal. No. Break up, I stated flatly. I have made myself abundantly clear. I will not return to endure a life of hardship with you. You're deceiving me.
Humph.
I let out a cold laugh. How naive you are. From the outset, I was aware of your ties to the Wei family, which is why I approached you with intent. Without that, with your measly existence, why would I ever consider being with you? Something within me shattered quietly, and I averted my gaze, striving to control the tremor in my voice. Who knew you would be so foolish as to turn down easy money? If that is the case, I have no reason to squander my youth dragging this out. Behind me, Shun Chu had already chased after us. I turned to leave. Take care of yourself. Yet my wrist was seized once more. Fu Hansheng trembled slightly, his voice low and hoarse, laced with suppressed pleading. Please don't go. Not a chance. I turned back, striving to embody the persona of a competent villainess. In a fleeting moment, I leaned in and placed a light kiss near his lips. A parting gift. I smiled, both brazen and cold-hearted. Goodbye kiss. Never forget me. Fu Hansheng. The following month passed in a haze. Apart from attending classes during the day, I spent the majority of my time curled up in bed. My eyes remained swollen, and I avoided contact with others. My roommates were not particularly fond of me, and often spoke ill of me behind my back. Isn't Tishi the one who went viral on the school forum?
Yes.
The one who cheated on her poor boyfriend with a rich heir and got caught red-handed. I used to think she was beautiful, but she turned out to be a gold digger. It's disgusting. To leave such a handsome boyfriend for someone so ugly, how could she bear to do that? Laughter erupted in response. I yanked open the bed curtain, startling my roommates into silence as they hurriedly pretended to be busy with their own affairs. The day after I broke up with Fu Hansheng, someone anonymously posted a video from that day's restaurant incident on the school forum, sparking fervent discussion. I was not surprised. This was merely the first round of judgment designated for me as the malicious female antagonist. However, as the situation escalated, the school forum was suddenly hacked. By the time it was restored, all videos and images related to that day had been thoroughly erased. Nevertheless, many still recognized me. I feigned ignorance to my roommates' taunts, got out of bed, washed up briefly, and then donned a hat and mask before heading out. Recently, Fu Hansheng seemed perpetually busy. I hid among the greenery outside his studio, peering through the floor-to-ceiling glass windows like a voyeur, watching his every movement. He worked with focus and dedication, occasionally lost in thought or engaged in discussions with colleagues. Before long, Shun Chuchu emerged carrying a platter of cut fruit, exchanging a few cheerful words before everyone abandoned their tasks to gather around her for a snack. Fu Hansheng remained seated, and Shun Chuchu discreetly placed some fruit by his side. Under the warm yellow lights, the atmosphere was harmonious and cozy. A scene I had never been a part of, Fu Hansheng's genuine life. Youth, vitality, ambition, companionship, shared joys and sorrows. These were the traits they all possessed. Meanwhile, I was shrouded in darkness and distortion. If I continued to spy, jealousy would consume me entirely. I lowered my hat's brim, preparing to leave when Fu Hansheng seemed to sense my presence and suddenly glanced in my direction. My heart raced, and I stepped back abruptly, failing to notice the step behind me, causing me to tumble awkwardly. Ouch! I clutched my rear, taking a moment to recover before I noticed a hand extended toward me. Fu Hansheng's deep voice resonated. Did you hurt yourself? I, emboldened by my disguise of hat and mask, croaked in a rough voice. Hey, handsome. Do you have any discarded water bottles? Indeed, he replied, seemingly stifling a laugh. Do you want to come home with me? Home?
Yes.
All the water bottles are at home. Come with me, and I can help you sell some. He paused for a moment. Is that all right, Gigi? I recognized it too late and felt it a waste of my expression. I stood up in a huff, the spot where I had just fallen tugging painfully as I grimaced. Fu Hansheng reached out to pat my behind. Let me see if it's swollen. What are you doing? I nearly jumped back. What is our relationship now? Is this a place for you to be so indiscreet?
Pervert.
Hee, I like it. His hand hung in the air, and after a brief silence, he squatted down before me. Get on my back. The night had fully descended. The street was nearly deserted. I lay on Fu Hansheng's back, feeling a long-lost sense of relaxation. How could you have lost so much weight in just a month? I reached out to touch him. Fortunately, there's still muscle. After indulging my hand for a moment, I finally remembered to maintain my persona. Don't get the wrong idea, I just happened to pass by here today. Fu Hansheng walked slowly.
All right.
Agreeing to let you carry me is merely because I hurt myself and can't walk. Don't get too sentimental.
All right.
You mustn't tell anyone we met here today, or I'll have it out with you.
All right.
Wait, are you just a repeating machine? What else can you say besides all right? Fu Hansheng paused. I miss you. I was taken aback.
Ugh.
Tears are falling uncontrollably. I miss you too, darling. Don't think that by saying this I'll change my mind. I'm doing just fine now. Much happier than when I was with you. Have you not been eating well lately? Fu Hansheng suddenly asked. You've lost weight. What do you know? I'm on a diet. For the remainder of the walk, we tacitly refrained from speaking. After what felt like an eternity, we finally reached the dormitory. Just as I was about to turn away, Fu Hansheng unexpectedly pulled me back. In a low voice, he said, Can I come find you?
No.
I declared with righteous indignation. We've broken up. What if I miss you? He seemed like a large dog without a sense of security. I wanted to hug him. What does that have to do with me? I replied coldly, and, as if fearing he wouldn't believe me, I added, To tell you the truth, I came specifically to see your misfortune today, to see how miserable and pathetic you are. See my misfortune, Fu Hansheng murmured, rounding up. That still means you came to see me. I glared at him. Fu Hansheng, you've become so oily. He frowned, suddenly lifting my mask, cradling my face with both hands to examine it closely. Why are your eyes swollen? The surrounding light was dim, and I couldn't fathom how he noticed. My gaze flickering. None of your business. Fu Hansheng said nothing, wrapping his arms around me, his tall figure leaning down slowly. He held me, resting his forehead gently against my neck. I weakly pushed him away. What are you doing? Let me hold you for a while, he murmured, just for a bit. I ceased my struggles. After a long while, Fu Hansheng spoke again. It won't be long. His tone was both soothing and firm. Just wait a little longer. I didn't understand, but I vaguely sensed that things were not simple. Fu Hansheng, I suddenly asked, do you believe everyone has a predetermined fate? I do. He held me tightly, but I believe even more that I can change my fate. Something felt off. Very off. Fu Hansheng, do you know something? He didn't answer, releasing me to cradle my face again, his expression serious. You mustn't cry alone in secret anymore. I was taken aback. Ha ha ha.
Me?
Cry in secret? You must be joking. How could I ever cry? I'm done talking. I'm tired. I broke free from him, intending to leave. Suddenly, Fu Hanqing leaned down quickly and pressed a kiss at the corner of my eye. He smiled faintly goodbye kiss. This truly felt like it might take my life. In the following days, I remained preoccupied with thoughts. My mind incessantly replayed Fu Hanqing's words. Change fate? What fate does he wish to change? Wait a moment longer? Wait for what? An unease lingered in my heart, my intuition suggesting that what he said might be related to the system. However, throughout this month, I had attempted countless times to summon the system, only to be met with silence. What on earth had happened? According to the plot, Fu Hanqing should now be utterly disappointed in me, gradually opening up only under the companionship and encouragement of the female lead, Shin Chu-chu. Yet, observing his demeanor, it was clear that he was still quite infatuated. The storyline appeared to be progressing along its predetermined path, but in reality, it seemed to have derailed long ago. It was all so confusing. That night, I once again tried to call upon the system when my roommate suddenly burst through the door, calling out, "Jiangji, someone's looking for you downstairs." Looking for me? I was about to ask who it was when I caught sight of my roommate's evident impatience and promptly shut my mouth. Could it be Fu Hanqing? A sense of inexplicable anticipation filled me, quickening my steps. Yet upon reaching downstairs, I found no one there. One of the streetlights was out, casting a deeper darkness around. Just then, my phone screen lit up. It was a call from Fu Hanqing. I answered, "Hello?" Ji. His breath was uneven, as if he were running. "I'm coming to find you, right now." He seemed a bit excited. "I want to see you." Wasn't he downstairs? Before I could finish, someone suddenly lunged at me from behind, covering my mouth with a towel. My phone slipped from my hand and shattered on the ground. I struggled fiercely, but gradually lost strength, and finally, my vision faded to black as I completely lost consciousness. A jolt of electricity surged through my mind, followed by a familiar mechanical voice. "Host. The system." I jolted awake, the voice abruptly vanishing, leaving my mind in tranquil silence, as if the previous sound had merely been a figment of my imagination. Regaining my senses, I discovered that I was bound, curled up in the passenger seat of a car. "Wei Ming?" I looked incredulously at the person driving. "Why are you tying me up? Isn't kidnapping something only the female lead experiences? But we're both villains here." "Hef, still pretending?" Wei Ming's gaze flickered with intensity. "Jiang, you've tricked me miserably."
What are you talking about?
"Isn't it true? You teamed up with that illegitimate child to deceive me with fake information." "Nonsense." I frowned. "I have professional ethics, you know? You paid me to do a job. The information was painstakingly stolen from Fu Hanqing's computer, and I even broke up with him because of it. How could it be fake?" "Still quibbling, are we?" Wei Ming freed one hand to open his phone.
Pulling up a photo to show me.
"Is this what you call a breakup?" It was the photo of that night when Fu Hanqing had held me downstairs. I examined it closely and gasped, "Wow. What, do you admit it now?" "No," I shook my head. "The angle is so flattering. It turned out beautifully. Could you send it to me privately?" Wei Ming was furious, slamming his foot on the accelerator. The speed of the car terrified me to the brink of a heart attack.
Sorry.
I was just joking. You know Fu Hanqing likes me. It's quite normal for him to cling to me and plead for reconciliation. The car gradually slowed down. I asked, "So what exactly do you intend to do?" "You better not be lying to me." Wei Ming snorted coldly. "Today, I will put an end to that illegitimate son once and for all." He turned his head towards me. "Of course, as long as you cooperate well, I can choose not to harm you." If I recall correctly, there was also a kidnapping subplot in the original story. It occurred near the conclusion, when Fu Hanqing made a stunning comeback, becoming a legendary figure in the industry, swiftly swallowing up all of the Wei family's assets, leading to their utter bankruptcy. With no options left, Wei Ming kidnapped Fu Hanqing's then-lover, who was none other than the female lead, Shin Chu-chu. However, that was all after I had broken up with Fu Hanqing for 6 months. What happened to the original plot in between? The crucial question is, how could the one who was kidnapped possibly be me? This is a disaster. Wei Ming brought me to the edge of a cliff, with turbulent ocean waves crashing against the rocks behind us. About 20 minutes later, Fu Hanqing appeared. He gazed at me from a distance, his expression gentle, as if to say, "Don't be afraid." An inexplicable panic surged within me. Wei Ming stood beside me, seemingly deranged, pointing at Fu Hanqing and launching into a tirade. "Why do you have to show up? What gives you the right to compete with me? Why is it that no matter how much information I possess, I keep failing? He always says I'm useless, but how much better are you? What gives him the right to include your name in the will? What gives him the right to divide the Wei family's assets with you?" The he here presumably refers to Wei Ming's scoundrel father. I don't care. Fu Hansheng coldly observed Wei Ming's madness. Just tell me what you want. Wei Ming laughed, pulling a knife from his pocket and tossing it in front of Fu Hansheng. Either you leave, or she dies.
He pointed at me.
Or you can cripple one of your arms or legs, and I'll let her go. He paused. Fu Hansheng, choose for yourself. I want to see if you will still be valued as a cripple. I instinctively shook my head. Fu Hansheng, you mustn't. But he had already picked up the knife. You shouldn't be here, I shouted at him, at least, not because of me. Fu Hansheng, this is wrong. There's nothing wrong, he said softly, gripping the knife's handle. Gigi, wherever you are, I will be. My nose tinged with emotion. Tears instantly blurred my vision. Fu Hansheng. Gigi, I told you, his gaze was profound, I love you. My face was wet with tears. I asked, what if your love were to bring about the world's destruction? Then let it be destroyed, he smiled. I will still love you. I remained silent for a long time, crying and then suddenly laughing. All right, I nodded, all right. The knife's tip edged closer to his arm. I turned to Wei Ming. You Wei are such a fool. I suddenly lunged at him. I am not a delicate queen. I possess both means and strength. Wei Ming stumbled, losing his balance, and in a moment of desperation, he grabbed me, and we both fell off the cliff. The wind howled past my ears, and I heard Fu Hansheng's heart-wrenching cry. Gigi. Host. I opened my eyes to a white, boundless expanse. Host. This time, I was certain I hadn't heard incorrectly. You wretched system. Did you finally decide to show up because I died? I shouted in frustration. Were you deaf or mute before? The system whimpered. Unjustly wronged, oh great lord. Blame the male lead instead.
Fu Hansheng?
I inquired, puzzled. What does he have to do with it? This male lead is not right. He knows of my existence. The system complained. In the second month of your relationship, while you were asleep, he detected me through your brainwaves and directly shut me down for reprogramming. I was left speechless. Aren't you supposed to be a system? Like a world master deity or something? How could that be? The system is implanted in the host's brain and theoretically there is code that supports it. But this code is invisible to the normal eye. As the system spoke, it nearly cried. But your male lead is far from normal? I hurriedly asked. Then why have you appeared again? Because I have been reprogrammed and am now compliant.
Huh.
My task is to ensure you follow the plot strictly, as the villainess. If you disobey, I could administer electric shock punishment, and if the storyline deviates, I can apply for the destruction of this world. But the male lead refuses to let me punish you or destroy the world, so he chose to reprogram me. What a madness. I suddenly recalled Fu Hansheng's call the night of the kidnapping. Was he trying to tell me this? It was oddly amusing, and I asked, what about now? Now, the plot is no longer under system control. You are free. Free means... It means you can continue to live in this world and do whatever you wish. The system paused, and I must leave. Where are you going? To another world, to administer electric shocks to the next host. I was left in a mix of laughter and tears. Farewell, host. The system's voice grew fainter. Though our time together was brief, I will never forget you, and that nightmare of a male lead. Farewell. I waved at the air. And Fu Hansheng is not a nightmare. He is my beautiful dream. When I woke up again, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. Fu Hansheng held my hand, resting quietly at the edge of the bed. His shoulder was bandaged, with traces of blood seeping through. I hazily recalled that in the split second before I fell into the sea, he seemed to have jumped down after me. My fingertips twitched, and Fu Hansheng suddenly awoke, his eyes glistening with tears as he looked at me. Gigi. He carefully leaned over to embrace me. Fu Hansheng. I forgot to tell you. I returned his embrace, resting my head gently on his shoulder. I love you too. When Fu Hansheng revealed to me that he possessed the ability to read minds, I was utterly bewildered. From the moment you first approached me and pursued me, I could hear your thoughts. That's how I became aware of the system's existence. Perhaps my mind-reading ability is a side effect of being bound to the system. I was so shocked that I could barely speak, so, Yes, Fu Hansheng chuckled softly. I heard everything. Darling, your contradictory expressions are truly adorable. I despairingly covered my face, then suddenly grasped the key point. Now that the system is left, can you still hear my thoughts? I don't know, want to try? I straightened up and silently thought. Touch the abs. Fu Hansheng burst into laughter and then, right before my eyes, lifted his shirt. Go ahead, touch.
Ah.
This is so unfair. Wei Ming was convicted of kidnapping and intentional injury. facing an endless prison sentence. However, this was contingent upon him waking from the intensive care unit after falling from the cliff, as he suffered a more severe fall. After Fu Hansheng and I reconciled, the school forum erupted once again. Insiders have revealed that the persona of a gold digger was merely a fade. In reality, I orchestrated a performance in collaboration with Fu Hansheng. My classmates, having witnessed the spectacle, hastily retracted their previous derogatory remarks. Some even affectionately coined the nickname for us, the A. Smith couple. Hearing this made me chuckle. While Fu Hansheng dedicated himself to his entrepreneurial endeavors, I immersed myself in my studies, embracing this world as my second chance at life. I took up painting and rekindled my long-standing passion for the piano. 2 years later, I graduated with flying colors. On the day of the commencement ceremony, Fu Hansheng was invited back to the school to deliver a speech as an outstanding young entrepreneur. Standing on the stage, he personally handed me my diploma. That evening, he took my hand and, with an air of mystery, suggested we venture out to witness the sunrise together. The car journeyed through the night and halted on a picturesque mountain just as dawn began to break. Beside us lay a small lake where swans intertwined their necks at the water's edge. Fu Hansheng leaned in to kiss me. His lips were warm and moist, and his tongue deftly navigated past my teeth, claiming territory with fervor. His long fingers slipped beneath the hem of my garment, teasingly exploring my sensitive skin. I chuckled softly, yet the confined space in the front seat felt somewhat stifling. "Shall we move to the back?" I suggested. We settled in for 2 hours of tranquility. The surroundings were hushed, and the lake mirrored the gently swaying car, while our whispers and gasps roused the slumbering birds of the forest. After those 2 hours, utterly spent, I leaned against Fu Hansheng, who appeared content and amused, his lips curling into a smile as he tenderly caressed my cheek with his fingertips, seemingly reluctant to part with the moment. I felt drowsy when, unexpectedly, a cool ring slid onto my ring finger. Fu Hansheng pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. "Hishi. Look, the sun has risen," he said. Warm morning light streamed through the windshield, illuminating the interior of the car. Our fingers intertwined. I replied, "Yes. It's a brand new day. A new day that belongs to us." The story concludes here. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking to show your support. Until we meet again for the next tale.